Hey guys, I'm here with another tech tip, and I want to talk a little bit about grading an Edpuzzle. So, one of the things that is quite annoying about Edpuzzle is how tricky it can be for students to turn in the assignments and to grade it once they do. So, um, I want to take you through how I grade Edpuzzle. Okay, so I'm logged into Schoolytics on my assignments to grade list, and I'm going to go ahead to this Edpuzzle. Now, sometimes, well, if you post the assignment to Google Classroom through Edpuzzle, it will auto grade if the student completes it and turns it in. Okay, but if the student does not, or you do not post it, it's not going to have a grade. So you'll see here, a lot of these students, none of these students have a grade. So then what I usually do is I come to Edpuzzle, and I actually have already opened it, but I pretty much, when I'm grading, I keep this Edpuzzle open in the background, right? And to the class I'm grading, and I usually make sure that I'm only grading one class at a time. That way it's not too confusing. But then I can go to that specific Edpuzzle, and what I usually do is sort them by watched, and I press that twice. So once we'll get all the nevers up top, but the second time we'll get all the most recent ones up top. Okay, so I usually have this in two screens, but I'm going to split screen it for you guys so you can see. So I usually have this, have Edpuzzle up on my second screen, and then I have the grades up on this screen. And I like to have it so that it's the list of grades, right? And let me move this, and then I just match up, right? So this puts it in alphabetical order. This is in time order, right? And this student didn't actually answer any of the questions or turn it in. So there is no grade for that. I will have to send her a message. So one thing that I do is I go through and I'm filling in the grades is I do give comments about them. So let me return these. So what I would do with this student is I would click on her. Oh, she didn't actually turn it in. Okay. But let's just say, for the purposes of our conversation, this student hadn't turned it in or had gotten below 60%, which my expectation is that they're going to do better than 60%. I would click return, and I would put, when I return it, I would put my comments here. And one of the reasons why I do that is because it then sends them the message with the returned work and says, hey, your teacher left you a message with this work. I like doing it this way instead of commenting on the assignment. It just is a slightly different way it sends the email, but this really points out to them that you've returned the work and they need to do something. So I would put a comment here and say, hey, you need to actually finish this video, or hey, I need you to redo it. And I always make all my Edpuzzles so that they can redo them. So it automatically lets them redo them, okay? If a student needs to redo an Edpuzzle and you've only given them one opportunity, you can click here and click Reset Progress, or you can also make student retry. So this one, they got 100%, so I'm not going to make them retry. But this one, I can make the student retry, and this one, I could make the student retry, right? So this one, I noticed this student didn't turn it in. So obviously, she's realized if she gets below 57%, I'm going to pop it back and she's going to have to do it again. So she didn't even turn it in and is probably planning to redo it today, at least I hope. So I keep these open. I would grade all of these, return them, and then I go back to my list on Schoolytics. And let me make this big because this is kind of crowded on that screen. Now, one thing I did want to point out is usually when I do this, I sort it by date, okay? But you can also sort it by assignment title, and that way you're grading, you're doing all of this list of things first, right? So I always have my Edpuzzles with my little puzzle piece. in my description in Google Classroom, so that makes it really easy for me to go through and say, okay, I'm going to grade all the Edpuzzles, right? And then the little newspaper means they did Newsella, so I can go through and grade all the Newsellas. This means they did a writing assignment. So all of those things are labeled for me, and that makes the grading a little bit easier.